AgTech 360 discusses breakthrough technologies that are impacting growers, businesses, and consumers. Hear from industry and academic experts about what's on the horizon.
So, welcome to AgTech 360, the podcast where we explore cutting-edge innovations transforming agriculture. I'm your host, Adrian Percy, and today we're diving into the fascinating world of gene editing with Monika Paule from Caszyme, and who is the CEO of Caszyme, I should say. So gene editing is revolutionizing the way we approach challenges in agriculture. New technologies are enhancing precision, improving sustainability, and opening up new possibilities. In this episode, we'll discover and discuss the evolution of CRISPR, its applications, and how it can support sustainability in agriculture. So thank you for joining me, Monika.
So very nice to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
Great. So let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about your background and what inspired you to work in the field of gene editing and biotechnology.
As one very well-known professor in Lithuania, where I'm coming from, once told me, well, I was born on the lab bench. Well, it's not literally true, but almost true, because I come from the family of biochemists. So my dear father and my mother, they both were one of these first generations of biochemists in the whole region. So I lived with this field of science, with actually this industry, for my whole life. However, I chose to study economics, and I have PhD in the management field. But my whole professional career comes from working in the biotech and pharma, in even environmental biotech companies. So I actually ended up, developing business in this amazing field. And at one point of my life, I was working at Vilnius University, and I created the technology transfer office there. And I had an opportunity to meet the other co-founders of Caszyme, Professor Virginijus Šiksnys and Dr. Giedrius Gasiūnas, because a lot of commercialization, tech transfer, intellectual property work that I had to do was with my co-founders. And that's how our story started.
So before we get into talking exactly what your company does, can we talk a little bit about gene editing? I mean, how would you categorize the current state of the science, or maybe the state of the art of gene editing? Where are we with this technology right now?
So I would say at the very beginning, it was like, oh my God, what an amazing technology, what amazing inventions, and they are amazing. But now we are realizing that CRISPR per se, it doesn't change the world. You have to apply it to certain fields. You have to develop new IP, how to actually solve certain scientific and technical aspects to make it applicable for the end product. So I would say we are now moving from the very initial hype to actually understanding that this is an amazing tool, amazing technology, and now we can actually make a change with it.
Yeah, that's what I've heard kind of echoed from other folks working in this area, that the molecular scissors and the ability to make edits in DNA has been achieved, but then, as you say, the actual delivery and ultimately the products coming through, we're still in the early days. Would that be a fair thing to say?
Absolutely. And we also have to have in mind that it's not enough just to invent something, then make it available in a certain field, but also it has to be accepted by the actual users. So either, it's patients in the therapeutics field, or farmers in the agricultural field, only when it is accepted, then it actually, starts to work.
So now let's talk a little bit about your company. And, I should note you mentioned Vilnius University. So you're talking to me from Lithuania today. So tell me a little bit about the birth of Caszyme and what you are focused on in terms of gene editing.
We founded Caszyme already almost 8 years ago. We will have our 8th birthday this year. And we founded Caszyme with the idea that we wanted to make CRISPR available as broad as possible to as many fields as possible.
So when you think of applications in agriculture, can you give some examples of where you feel CRISPR may be valuable? Some concrete examples?
So first of all, we have food scarcity in certain regions. So, and because, it's either the climate conditions are not favorable for agriculture, or, there is a lack of land that could be used for that. So if we work with certain plant traits that could grow in those complicated environments, that could be more resistant to different diseases, that would maybe have some better growth efficiency, we could solve food scarcity problem. We could have, much better economical conditions, because if people have what to eat, then they, can focus on other things. Another thing which is very much related to that is climate change and sustainability, because if we could actually grow a lot of things close to where we live, well, we don't need to fly avocado all around the world to get it, which actually has a huge impact for climate change and sustainability. And also agriculture, it's not only food per se, but it's also a lot of traditions, like preservation of historical plant traits, which are very important for, each country, each region. But as our climate conditions are changing, we cannot grow, the things we used to grow, because it's either too hot, too cold, too dry, too wet, or whatever. But if we could help with CRISPR for these plant traits to adopt, then we also could have this, cultural aspect that, we keep on maintaining our traditions, which is extremely important to my point of view.
The North Carolina Plant Sciences Initiative impacts lives through innovative applications and discoveries. By leveraging cutting-edge research and technology, we address global challenges related to agriculture, sustainability, and human health.
Yeah, and as you say, the agricultural industry is often built up around a particular crop in a particular region. And while, of course, we can envisage perhaps developing new crops for a specific region, that would involve, new infrastructure and new market access and these types of things. So, of course, being able to preserve traditional crops where they're grown today would be very important. And as you say, we're seeing some changes around the world. One of the interesting ones that I've seen is the wine industry, where we're seeing movements of different grape varieties, generally northwards, into places like the UK, where I'm from. And when I was growing up, English wine was not anything that anyone talked about. But now, we're seeing champagne producers in France buying land in the UK. But I'm sure also that we would like to see, those vines preserved in the environments where they were originally grown.
Wine industry is one of the great examples, that actually changes this cultural setting, because I'm very happy to, taste British wine or champagne, which I do, and I find it amazing. However, at the same time, it feels bad that we cannot maintain this industry where it has been for hundreds of thousands of years. Let's say France or Italy or Greece. But if we could somehow make it all work, preserve the traditions, preserve these historically well-known species, but at the same time also explore the possibilities to have something grown in the new regions. Well, I think with all the all the huge number of people that we have on our earth, we can accommodate all of that. So I don't think it's a problem. It's just how we can find a balance in that. And that's where CRISPR can help.
So the regulatory framework for CRISPR-based products in agriculture is still evolving around the world. Regions like Europe, where we're still trying to understand what the regulations will ultimately look like. Tell me a little bit how you see societal acceptance of CRISPR-based products. Either it could be in the pharmaceutical world or perhaps in the agricultural world where food-based products. Is this something that you're concerned about, or do you feel that the benefits of CRISPR will outweigh potential concerns that we may have from the public?
Well, I think definitely CRISPR has so many benefits that regulatory process in every industry has to, accommodate that. And I'm not saying we should somehow, miss the regulatory part or do that. But, in case of therapeutic products, the regulatory is pretty strict. But at the same time, the constant discussion is happening. Okay, but if we want to have this treatment, we have to be more flexible. At the same time, the more companies are doing clinical trials with, gene editing modalities, the easier the regulatory is becoming, which I think should be the same in the agritech field as well, because of course we have to follow certain regulations and rules and to provide data, but at the same time, not to limit this field, because such regions as US is much more favorable than, let's say, Europe. But then at the end, you see that Europe is lagging behind. So we really have to find the balance here, and to make these regulatory limitations as little as possible to actually foster the innovation in the gene editing field.
So the last question from me, Monika, is really to ask you to look forward a little bit. So where do you see gene editing going, and Caszyme as a company? What do you foresee, say, in 5 years from now?
Well, we at Caszyme, we are pursuing our path. We want to work and apply CRISPR in different industries as we do now. At the same time, we want to, build more proof of concepts and pipelines within our company as well, to actually show that we can not only build the gene editing tools, but we also know what the market needs and how it should be developed. So, and I believe that, this industry in general will be growing. There will be a lot of people from business, from academia coming with ideas, what kind of end products they would like to have and why it would make sense. And then companies as ours, as Caszyme, can come and collaborate and make it happen.
So I wish you lots of luck with that. Thank you so much for joining me, Monika.
AgTech 360 shares relevant news and breakthroughs with audiences across the globe. Stay connected and join the conversation by following NCPSI on social media.